Wireless carriers are preparing to roll out 5G technology this week, despite concerns from aviation and transportation officials that it could disrupt aircraft. The rollout had already been delayed by a month. The Transportation Department and the Federal Aviation Administration wanted it delayed longer. But the CEOs of Verizon and AT&T are refusing. They are instead considering measures to limit 5G service around certain airports. The trade group Airlines for America has since filed an emergency petition. It claims 5G would, quote, disrupt as many as 345,000 passenger flights, impacting 32 million travelers, in addition to 5,400 cargo flights each year. For more, let's bring in Dana Wollman. She is the editor-in-chief of Engadget. Dana, thank you so much for joining us, and help us understand the conflict here, because you've got the FAA and airline carriers saying that 5G could disrupt flights, it could be potentially catastrophic, but then on the other hand, you've got another federal agency, the FCC, saying there's actually very little risk. So who's right?
So before we get to the question of who's right, I think I should back up and say that the carriers have a lot of money on the line here. So combination of Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, who's not actually involved in this drama, the three carriers collectively spent almost $80 billion early last year to purchase this additional 5G spectrum, which promises 5G that is both higher in bandwidth than what's currently available, but still at a low risk, they say, of the kind of interference that the FAA is worried about. So until now, they've paid all this money, and they're champing at the bit to roll out this expanded 5G service. So it was frustrating enough for them that they were forced to, or asked to, delay the launch by about a month. And their concern now is that they said they are worried that they are capitulating, that's the word, control over their service to the government. And the government, meanwhile, is worried about possible interference and safety issues. Specifically, they're worried that certain systems that pilots use in poor weather conditions could possibly interfere with 5G service at that spectrum.
But it sounds like there is not unanimity even across the federal government about whether this is a risk or not, right?
Right. It sounds, if anything, like an issue that the government would like to continue studying. And I think the carriers would say, without putting words in their mouth, that they've waited long enough and don't want to feel like this important and costly rollout with so much on the line is going to be held up indefinitely, especially with T-Mobile, the third big carrier that's invested in this technology, apparently not being subject to the same delays. But it seems, if anything, like it's an issue that the government wants to continue studying. We can talk about what the proposed solution might be and where the carriers do at least seem willing to compromise.
And what is the compromise that they say they are willing to make?
So I think the carriers have said that they would be willing to maintain sort of a buffer zone around certain key airports. In particular, the FAA seems worried about close to 4 dozen airports where they would be worried about interference with these poor weather systems and the kind of 5G spectrum that Verizon and AT&T are eager to roll out. So the Verizon and AT&T this week did indicate some willingness to at least respect a boundary around those key airports, just without, what they don't want to do seemingly is agree to any more delays, full stop, on their entire rollout of this new mid-band 5G service.
Dana, why are we only hearing about these dire warnings now? I mean, obviously the plans to move to 5G service have been in the works for years, so no one should be surprised, right?
The move to 5G has been underway for years. You're right about that. I think what's new is the use of this mid-band spectrum, which the big carriers only purchased access to in early 2021. So it took them a while to ramp up their launch plans for that particular kind of 5G. But you're correct that 5G itself has been around for years. It's really this particular flavor that the carriers are just looking to roll out and capitalize on, and that the FAA still has some concerns about.
And remind us of the benefits of 5G, particularly unveiling 5G on this particular band. What's that going to mean for customers?
So in general, the benefit of 5G is faster speeds. This particular flavor of 5G, if you will, it would seem to hit a sweet spot. On the one hand, the carriers do seem to believe, or at least they claim, that this sweet spot offers pretty low interference of the kind that the FAA seems concerned about, but still offer fast speeds and possibly faster speeds than what current 5G customers are enjoying. So those benefits, combined with the fact that the carriers did make this really big upfront investment in even being able to capitalize on this technology, that's why they are so eager to move forward and don't seem willing to agree to another delay, not even one of a couple weeks.
And finally, if I were planning a flight in the next few weeks, I might be a little alarmed based on what the FAA is saying. Is there a chance that this is going to impact flights? We've already seen thousands of delays and cancellations over the past couple of weeks due to COVID-related staffing shortages. Could this just exacerbate it?
I think it's hard to say just yet what the effect will be on flight patterns, especially, as you said, given the effect that COVID is already having on flight schedules and flight cancellations. I think it's a little difficult to pick one away from the other. I think if you asked an airline or aviation industry supporter or lobbyist, I think they would point out that this technology is already being used in other parts of the world and doesn't seem to be causing interference or chaos. It's just not something that U.S. officials have fully expressed comfort with yet.
Got it. Well, Dana Wollman, thank you so much for breaking down this very complicated situation for us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.